Hello. The other evening when I was talking about the transition between Dr. Jung's Red Book time and his alchemical time, I didn't have handy Dr. Jung's epilogue to the Red Book. So I want to add that now in preparation for this segment of this video. I'm reading today from the Reader's Edition of the Red Book, Liber Novus, by Dr. C.G. Jung. And I'm only going to read the epilogue to it, which appears on page 555 of the Reader's Edition. Epilogue, 1959. I worked on this book for 16 years. My acquaintance with alchemy in 1930 took me away from it. The beginning of the end came in 1928 when Wilhelm sent me the text of The Golden Flower, an alchemical treatise. There the contents of this book found their way into actuality, and I could no longer continue working on it. To the superficial observer, it will appear like madness. It would also have developed into one had I not been able to absorb the overpowering force of the original experiences. With the help of alchemy, I could finally arrange them into a whole. I always knew that these experiences contained something precious, and therefore I knew of nothing better than to write them down in a precious, that is to say, costly book, and to paint the images that emerged through reliving it all as well as I could. I knew how frightfully inadequate this undertaking was, but despite much work and many distractions, I remained true to it, even if another possibility never. And then he never finished the sentence. There's a footnote. This appears on page 190 of the calligraphic volume of Liber Novus. The transcription was abruptly left off in the middle of a sentence on page 189. This epilogue appears on the next page in Jung's normal handwriting. This in turn was abruptly left off in the middle of a sentence. And what caused him to stop was his meeting with Richard Wilhelm, which is the point that we're coming into his career now, as we're talking about The Secret of the Golden Flower. So at that point, when Wilhelm came and presented him with The Secret of the Golden Flower, that allowed him to take what had been happening to him for 15 years and contextualize it in a sense of human experience going back thousands of years. And that's what the I Ching was, because he was seeing the same symbols in the I Ching and The Secret of the Golden Flower that he had seen in his examining room among European patients. Thomas Dennis says there's a great biographical movie about Wilhelm created by his daughter, Wisdom of Changes. That's good to know. I did not know that, and I will look for that in the coming week. Thank you very much, Thomas, for that. Sean says, did you learn anything about his descriptions of multiple personality disorders? I'm very curious about this type of dissociation. Dr. Jung does mention this in a lot later part of the Secret of the Golden Flower, which I'm not going to get to tonight. There's no way. In fact, as I said, this is really a short course on Jungian psychology, so it's going to take several weeks to get through this essay. But for example, here's the last image in The Secret of the Golden Flower, and what he says about this image. What it's showing here is a guru that is envisioning 5 people, and he's envisioning them envisioning 5 people. And what he says is that if you can integrate that into your consciousness, then it's okay. But if you can't integrate it, then that becomes a symptom of schizophrenia. Now, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to give you any advice about multiple personality disorder. I think that I'm just repeating what he says here. And so, I think that you need, if you're interested in multiple personality disorder, please look at the literature on that, and don't use me as as a source of information. But I can tell you that in this essay, what he says about that particular image that I just showed you is that if you're a meditation master and in your meditation you're having those visions and you can incorporate them and hold them together in your psyche, then that's fine, and that means that you have a wider and deeper psyche. But if you don't integrate them, then that's a symptom of schizophrenia. That's what he says. I'm not an expert. I've never studied psychology officially, only self-taught. So please don't take me as the guru on that. And Andy says he had an experience also. So Andy, I urge you to go and take a look at that Edinger lecture. I think you'll find that very helpful. And Sean says, trying to convince others will lead to suffering if they are incapable of listening. And, very often people aren't capable of listening. I have been lucky because a number of people came to my meetup group, which I began here in Annapolis. I had no idea whether I would get anybody or not, but fortunately, over more than a year and a half, we had something like 75 meetings before I had to have my ankle replaced, and people kept coming, so I kept talking about it, and I kept putting the videos online here. And then when I was incapacitated for 6 weeks, I started to do them online, and so I was lucky to find people who have interest. So Thomas Dennis says, such a difficult text, Liber Novus. It's all difficult, Thomas. It's Dr. Jung's writing isn't for the faint of heart. You don't read Jung like you would read a novel, that's for sure. I urge you, as we talk about some of these books, to look at the Edinger lectures which relate to those books. And you can find some of my comments on this channel with the reading of the Answer to Job book. We are on Thursdays now beginning a course on Aion, and in that course I'm incorporating Dr. Edinger's lectures, which appear in the Aion lectures. Let's see if I put my finger on it. Okay, so here's Edinger's book, the Aion lectures, published by Inner City Books. And Aion, of course, is volume 9II of the Collected Works of C.G. Jung, which is published by Princeton University Press. And so I'm working with both of those books, going through those lectures. So you can write to me if you want to participate. We began with the introductions last week, but I'm creating video of all the sessions. So we have an advanced reading group Dropbox where if you miss the early sessions, you can come back to them and see them.